Hello, my people. Today we have a guest. Today we have something special for you. We have Mr. Black and Gold with us tonight, and we're gonna have fun. We're gonna learn a lot. The point of this interview is for our kids to watch it in the next 5 years, 10 years, and then they can listen to this content. They can listen to this information that they're about to hear, and it's going to be very valuable. It's going to be very important for them. But I just want to have fun tonight with an old friend, and I don't want to say much because it's not my interview. This is his time. Mr. Malcolm, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? What do you do? Tell us.
First of all, thank you for having me. It's been a long time since I've seen you, my good friend. So a little bit about me. My name's Malcolm McGuire. I am originally from Los Angeles, California. Not a Texan, but I've been here so long, I feel like one. I came to move to Texas back in 1998, where I went to Wiley College, where we met.
Yes, sir.
Obviously, in historically black college and university in Marshall, Texas. And so that's where we met. And I left Wiley. I got my degree there and I became a police officer originally, way out in Tyler, Texas, before moving up to the DFW area, where I ended up continuing my education at Southern Methodist University, SMU. And I've been up here ever since. So currently I work for Liberty Mutual Insurance Company. I work as a provider fraud investigator. So basically I investigate doctors and chiropractors and attorneys who are basically trying to get money from insurance companies that don't actually belong to them. So that's what I do for a living. I was lucky to meet my lovely wife Taisha at Wiley, who you know. Yes. And we have two boys, Miles and Mason, 15 and 13. I'll get their names wrong. And we're just enjoying being parents and blessed to live the life that we live. So.
Awesome. How many years do you serve as an officer?
14.
14 years.
14 years. I served 14, and within those 14 years, I also served 7 years in the United States Air Force Reserve. So I got a lot of different experiences out of that for sure.
Awesome. So this month is Black History Month, and that can mean a lot of things. So that's the reason I invited you, because I want you to educate us on what this really means. What is it? How we as Latinos or people from other ethnicities can connect to this celebration. So give us context of what Black History Month means. What is Black History Month?
So Black History Month, in the short version, is Black History Month is a celebration. It's a celebration of all of the things that African Americans contribute to our society. But I think that one of the things that gets confused when we talk about Black History Month is a lot of people think that it's only for African Americans. It's only for black people. Absolutely incorrect, right? It's a celebration, and it's an acknowledgement of everything that's going on, all the contributions that we've made to this society. But it's for everyone, right? Just like Hispanic Heritage Month or any of the other months. Intention is not to segregate. It's not to separate. It's not to keep people from celebrating. It's really just a reminder that, hey, you're looking at a people who have been through a lot, right, in the history of this world, but we still come together and celebrate specifically that particular month of all the things that have gone on. I'm one of those people that's always loved to say Black History Month is, and we get a lot of flack because it's the shortest month of the year.
Yes. But you were given the shortest month.
Right. But also, it's a month that we get to, you'll see a lot more Black history facts, and you'll see a lot of things come out during that month. Black history happens 365 days a year, right? Yeah. And so I think that's one of the things that we need to remember. But in short, it's a celebration, and we enjoy it every single day.
Was it always named Black History Month? Is there some history behind that? How did it originate?
There was another name for it, and I'm trying to think of what it was. It's on the tip of my tongue. I was actually looking at it earlier. But the purpose of it was to do, as I was said earlier, just to focus on individual accomplishments of African Americans in our country. But it's taken on such a huge meaning now, and especially with a lot of things that are going on in our world. And I'm sure we'll get to some of that later. it takes on even more of a meaning than it ever has before.
Awesome, awesome. So just recently, an African American lady what's the word I'm trying to use? Was elected. She was elected as the vice president of the United States. So what does that mean to the black community in the United States? What's the feeling? Does that really mean something? Is it normal? How is it perceived from your perspective?
I think it's huge. I think it's very, very important. Now, there are two schools of thought on that, because if we're being completely honest and talking about how the world viewed Vice President Harris prior to her being elected, if you remember, she did run for president as well. She didn't always get the positive outlook because of the fact that she used to be the Attorney General of California, and as such prosecuted a lot of people of color. Now, attorneys don't get to pick and choose who comes into the courtroom. They have a job to do, right? And so she kind of got a little bit negative backlash. But when it came to her actually being selected by President Biden as his running mate, at that point we were all in, right? Because
yes,
you simply can't pass up an opportunity for not only an African American woman, but a woman to be Vice President of the United States. It's amazing. And so I say we're. I do not intend to speak for all black people everywhere.
Correct.
But it's an exciting time. It's an exciting time.
So I guess diversity is crucial, and I don't want to detach from the topic, which is Black History Month, but me as a Latino, I try to learn from different leaders, talking about leadership. Now, can you name two leaders that you see as potential leaders for youth to follow, regardless on the ethnicity, but also if it's African American descent, it's okay. But I want to know about leaders out there that people can recommend to me, that I can listen to and also learn, and again pass that information to my children. So who would you select? Two leaders that you see, hey man, this guy is great, this lady is great.
So two off the top of my head, I'll give you my very first one, which was very easy for me. Stacey Abrams she was a government official in Georgia. She actually ran for governor of Georgia recently. She was very crucial in getting President Biden elected, because she was instrumental in making sure that people in Georgia were allowed to vote and that their votes weren't suppressed. And as someone who had recently lost an election, she had every right to sink back away from public life and go on about her business. And she decided, no, I'm going to step up. I'm going to do what's necessary to make sure that everyone in the state of Georgia gets an opportunity to vote. Any chance you get to listen to Stacey Abrams speak, I would do so. And to just pay attention.
Where is she from?
Georgia.
Georgia.
Yeah.
Okay, Georgia.
And then the other person is very wildly popular in Texas right now. It's Beto O'Rourke. I don't know if you've ever heard of him.
From El Paso.
Absolutely.
That's
I was
my
gonna
hometown.
say, I know
yes,
you've heard
yes,
of him.
I know Beto, yes.
But and actually was just reading on the way up here that he is considering running for governor in 2022, which I think would be an outstanding idea. Obviously, he ran for senator and wasn't successful running against Senator Cruz. I think it was last year. But he's
2 years ago.
2 years ago. Okay.
He's
He's awesome. I have a lot of respect for him, and what I respect most about him is his level of humanity in dealing with people. And I think that a lot of times what turns people off to politicians is they don't seem to be really connected to people on the lowest level, and that's where you're going to find someone like that. So yeah, he's another one.
Stacey Abrams and Beto O'Rourke. Awesome. So next question. Let me look at my notes here on the next question. Next question. Is it important for other ethnicities to be interested in Black History Month celebration? Should they be interested in knowing more about Black History Month and be involved? Or is it significant? Is it important, or is it not?
I think it's extremely important, and I'll add to that by saying it's just as important for African Americans to be involved in everyone else's Heritage Months as well. The reason I say that is because, and I mentioned earlier, I come from Los Angeles, California, which is what many people would call a melting pot. So I grew up around everyone. And to be honest with you, going to Wiley College was the first time I'd ever been around nothing but black people. That was
And
like
me.
and you. That was a culture shock for me, right? And so I think it's important for other ethnicities to engage in and learn and pay attention to things that happen during Black History Month and vice versa, because it really opens up your world into why people behave the way they do, why they think the way that they do, if you know more about their history and where they come from. And it's a win for everyone if everyone participates.
And that takes me to my next question. A school in Utah was trying to keep students, they were not telling the students not to do it, but they were giving them the option to opt out of the Black History Month curriculum. What is your take on this? How does it sound when you read news like this? I mean,
I think it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate because what message that sends to me as a parent is that the school district is actually giving students the option of not learning about their colleagues, not learning about their history. In the previous question, we were talking about whether or not it's important to engage and to want to learn more about people's culture. Well, you can't do that if you don't have the option. I mean, there's already so much about our history that our kids don't get taught. Why would we take out even more, right? That makes no sense to me whatsoever. So my initial reaction to that is it's unfortunate. It makes me sad.
so if you were the guy in charge, let's say if you were the guy, calling the shots, what would you do different as far as the educational system in African American history? Not to reduce it to a month. As far as the curriculum, what would you do different? Are we going to reduce it to Malcolm X and Martin Luther King, which is just partially, what we do, or what would you do different? Because I would like to learn about black writers, musicians, people who invented things that were stolen from them. So, but what would you do to include in the curriculum for our kids, for our generation to learn?
First of all, you're a special breed because not everybody had the opportunity that you had to
Yes,
go
sir.
to an HBCU and to learn from the Dr. Macindas of the world and and Dr. Lynch and everyone who taught us African American history. But to answer your question, I would, if it was up to me, I would not be afraid to tell the unabashed truth about this country and about this world. I think that's one of the biggest fears and one of the biggest reasons that we don't learn all the history that we should is shame. I think this country is ashamed of itself, to be honest with you. It's ashamed of its history, whether they'll ever admit it or not. And if I was in charge, I would open it up. Let's learn everything. And, let our kids make up their mind about what they think of this country, but don't brainwash them and don't suffocate them from the education that would help them become better people. So I would open it up, tell it all.
Thank you, sir. So, yes, sir, I have a lot of questions for you. One more. This is more on your comments on there's on a video that it's on YouTube and very famous video, a lot of views. This is Morgan Freeman comment on Black History Month, and he's just one of many who have expressed their feelings and their thoughts on Black History Month. He says that if he disagrees with celebrating Black History Month on just 1 month. So, what are his thoughts? We're gonna watch the clip and then give me your thoughts.
Black History Month you find
Ridiculous.
why?
You're going to relegate my history to a month?
Oh, come on.
What do you do with yours? Which month is White History Month? No,
Well-
well, come on, tell me.
Well, I'm Jewish.
Okay, which month is Jewish History Month?
There isn't one.
Oh, why not?
Yeah.
Do you want one?
No.
No, all right, I don't either. I don't want a Black History Month. Black history is American history.
How are we going to get rid of racism until...
Stop talking about it. I'm going to stop calling you a white man.
Yeah.
And I'm going to ask you to stop calling me a black man. I know you as Mike Wallace. You know me as Morgan Freeman.
So we watched the video. What do you think? What do you think about this?
I understand where Morgan was coming from. I'm of two minds of it. So my first thought is there are parts of me that agree with him in that we don't necessarily need to designate a month for Black History Month because, as I said in my opening statement, Black history is 365 days a year. However, I think that one should always remember and take into perspective who's talking, right? So as much respect as I have for Morgan Freeman as my elder, as an African-American man, and as someone who's been very successful in the movie industry, he also is in a different tax bracket.
Yeah, that's
right?
correct.
So his reality is not my reality.
Yes, sir.
My reality is not someone else's. So everyone's entitled to their opinion, and I'm fine with that. But I would never go so far as to say we need to do away with it, because to me, that's saying almost the same thing as the school district in Utah saying, hey, you don't have to learn about this if you don't want to. And while I don't think that Black history should be forced down anyone's throats, you should always have the option, and it's completely up to you. So I don't disagree with the fact that we should absolutely have to have a month for Black history, but I don't see the harm in it, I guess is my official answer, and it's been nothing but helpful for me all my life.
And having a month of celebration, do you see that as an accomplishment for the culture, since the history of it is not as bright? Is that an accomplishment? Is that why he expresses what he thinks that it cannot be, my history, as far as what he's saying, that my history cannot be reduced to a month? Is it an accomplishment? What do you think?
I agree with him. It can't be relegated to a month. However, when you look back at the history of African Americans in this country, we're talking about a people who, as recently as 70 years ago, you and I couldn't have this conversation in the same room. We wouldn't be on television. We were dealing with separate schools, separate water fountains, and all that stuff that we know about. So to fast forward to where we are now, where there is an entire month dedicated to learning nothing but our culture, I don't see how you don't see that as a positive, right? So again, I get what he's saying, but I think he and others need to understand that there's positives in it as well, right? So I'm for it. I'm always going to be for it, and there are so many things about Black history that are just now coming out in movies recently, and some people are just now learning about the Black Panther movement, learning what it actually was about. My older brothers, I have brothers who are much older than me who grew up in the 60s in Oakland, California, actually lived next door to Black Panthers and had Black Panthers protect them while my father was overseas in Vietnam. So there's always going to be a special place in my heart for the Black Panther Party.
Yes,
and there's so much more that we don't know, and the way you can't learn it by making it optional or by not celebrating it. So it's always gonna be important.
Or isolating from
Absolutely.
the truth.
Absolutely.
On your final thought, what can you tell us, and you can look at that camera over there, what can you tell us as a final thought for the next generation? We're getting older, we're not getting any younger. So what can you tell to the next generation as far as your community, as far as this celebration overall? What can you tell us? Give us your last thought and give us a punchline, right?
I think it's very important for us as a people, and when I say people, I mean everyone, to learn about each other, right? To do the things that we're doing right here, and to take an interest in what it is that makes other people tick. Pay attention to why someone behaves the way they do, or why things affect them the way that they do. Because at the end of the day, God has the final say, and that's the most important part. But while we're here, we need to make sure that we find a way to live as harmoniously as possible. And the best way to do that is to have a real love and understanding for each other. And the way that you do that is to know where each other's coming from. So I appreciated the time. Thank you so much. And it's good to see you.
Well, good to see you again. Thank you so much. And thank you guys for tuning in. Leave your comment, your questions. I'll make sure I'll give those questions to him and he'll answer them. God bless you. Thank you. We love you.
Take care, everybody.